Every human life operates within a strictly bounded container. We are biological organisms, subject to a hard, unforgiving limit. Yet, history proves that some individuals manage to produce an output that outlives their physical machinery, broadcasting an influence that compounds across generations. To understand how this works, we have to look at time and physical energy not as abstract concepts, but as a biological currency. You are born with a finite, non-renewable supply. Every day, the tank drains. This diagram outlines the exact boundaries of that system. Your physical lifespan is a closed loop, capped somewhere around 80 years. It is a strictly bounded period where you have the agency to act, build, and spend your currency. Eventually, that currency zeroes out. You hit what we call the threshold of binding. This is the moment of biological closure. Your ability to edit your life story vanishes, and the text you've written through your daily actions is finalized. What survives that threshold enters the unbounded zone. The biological host is gone, but the signal generated by that life continues to broadcast, an endless legacy echo that ripples through successors, systems, and institutions. Crossing this biological limit is not a spiritual accident. It is the result of engineering a specific system while you are still alive, one designed to function even after the biological host has stopped. The problem is that most professionals spend their finite biological currency optimizing for the wrong metrics. They engineer their lives around accumulating material wealth and social status. Looking at the red line on this graph, you can see why. During the active lifespan, the accumulation of earthly capital is visually impressive. Status, titles, and bank accounts compound rapidly, peaking right near the end of life. But status and wealth are perishable cargo. The moment the biological machine ceases, the red line instantly crashes to absolute zero. Your titles and your capital cannot cross the threshold. Now, trace the blue trajectory. This represents processed wisdom and structural blueprints. It doesn't crash. It crosses the boundary cleanly and actually gains momentum, compounding as it is utilized by the next generation. To ensure your life resembles the blue line rather than the red, we are going to map the internal mechanics of the legacy transmission pipeline. An obsession with temporary metrics ensures your impact goes to the grave when you do. Building a perpetual echo requires you to construct a very different kind of infrastructure today. Every transmission system requires an independent, continuous power source. In the context of human legacy, that power source is absolute narrative autonomy. You must be the primary author of your own choices. This schematic of the passive compliance model illustrates the exact point of failure. When you operate as a secondary character, trying to fulfill cultural expectations and secure peer validation, you bleed vital energy. This compliance tax drains nearly your entire capacity before you can build something enduring. Plugging that leak requires two pieces of internal hardware. First, an unyielding spine of core values to anchor your decisions. Second, a strict boundary of narrative control, an outer shield rejecting external scripts. If you spend your days trying to keep everyone around you comfortable, your system will possess exactly zero energy to draft an authentic masterpiece. Once the system is powered, it needs fuel. The primary input for a lasting legacy is rarely your string of successes. It is raw experience, heavy friction, and severe, life-altering crisis. But trauma alone is useless. The trap shows that if a crisis remains unexamined, it yields no utility, leaving a blank page. To the right is the successful conversion protocol, capturing the crisis to package that knowledge into a functional manual. We call this mechanism intentional study. It is the rigorous, analytical process of stripping the raw, crushing emotion away from your lowest moments to isolate the cold, structural lesson buried underneath. This transformation turns personal suffering into a functional asset. You are extracting the internal logic of a struggle to create a roadmap for those following the same path. Simply surviving a disaster doesn't help anyone else. It is only when you meticulously process that pain that it becomes a blueprint capable of outliving you. The final phase of the pipeline occurs when the processed wisdom is formally prepared for transmission to the next generation. Looking at this visual archive, we see exactly how that handover is prepared. The author finishes stripping away the thorns of their own raw experience, exposing a refined, glowing, actionable core. The immediate result is a highly specific dataset. When your successor encounters their own inevitable professional or emotional storm, they don't have to guess. They access your archive. They deploy that exact blueprint to generate early insulation. Because you documented where the foundation cracked in your life, they are shielded from making that exact same catastrophic mistake in theirs. This is the ultimate law of the transmission system. The author pays the full, crushing price of a lesson exactly once, so the successor inherits the wisdom entirely free of cost. Everything we've discussed so far leads to a single, unavoidable deadline. Eventually, your physical system will shut down, and the outputs of your life will be tested at the threshold. This durability matrix evaluates which components of your life dissolve and which compound. On the left, perishable cargo like money and properties drop to zero at the biological boundary. On the right, permanent infrastructure, your values and blueprints, cross the threshold cleanly, guiding successors for decades. The comparison is stark. While physical cargo dissolves at the boundary, self-authored blueprints are the only assets designed to compound forever. Knowing this, you have to run your current daily routine through a final diagnostic check. Look at the work you did today and ask yourself what it is actually building. As illustrated here, superficial metrics, titles, applause, and frantic accumulation are highly flammable. Under the final audit, they burn away, leaving nothing. True blueprints, anchored to a moral spine, do the opposite. They take deep root, becoming a permanent reference broadcasting to those who follow. Are you standing on unyielding core values today? Are you holding the pen, or quietly complying with the script someone else handed you? And most importantly, will the choices you made this morning produce a lasting wave? The biological clock is always ticking downward. But remember, the grave only has the power to consume your physical container. It cannot touch an active, well-written masterpiece.